well, and also hope that you are having a good day so far. All right, so today we will be doing our grade 1 English lesson on personal nouns and personal pronouns. And before we start with our lesson, we are going to log into a+students.ca. We're going to log in with our username as well as our password. And then we're going to select the subject of language arts. All right. So we are doing our grade 1 English lesson on personal pronouns. I just had to correct that one. Personal pronouns. And we are logging into a+students.ca with our username as well as our password. Once we've logged in with our username as well as our password, we're going to select the subject of language arts and then grade 1. All right, so once we've selected grade 1, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of personal pronouns. So our chapter is personal pronouns. Our subject is English language arts, grade 1, and the lessons that we are going to be focusing on today is to choose between subject and object pronouns and to choose the correct personal pronouns. And we are doing our lesson on a plus students.ca. So if you do want to go back and recap and go over the lesson, then you can just go back to a+students.ca. And that is also where we are doing our lessons on. And here we have the chapter, which is personal pronouns, subject English language art, grade 1, and our lessons is to choose between subject and object pronoun, as well as to choose the correct personal pronoun. All right, so a pronoun, right? Let me put this over here to separate it. So a subject pronoun, it tells who is doing something. So subject pronoun, it tells who is doing something. And it's usually at the end, at the beginning of the sentence, right? So subject is usually, it's almost like somebody, a person or whoever that is doing, let's say, either an action, right? And we said that a subject pronoun, right, it is usually at the beginning of the sentence. And the subject pronouns, right, are I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. So those are the subject pronouns, right? And the subject pronouns, it tells us who is doing something. And like I say, when it comes to the subject pronouns, it is usually at the beginning of the sentence. And if we look at a few examples of subject pronouns, let's say we use I, right? So now it's like us making a sentence starting with I. Because now they're saying someone who is doing something or who is doing something. So if we start with I, then we can say maybe I am writing a letter, right? So basically, the subject is I. So the subject is I because it's telling us who is doing something. So I am doing something. And what are you doing? I am writing a letter, right? Or we can, if we use the word you, which is the subject, right? Then we can say you are playing with, you are playing with your toys, right? So that is also where the subject is you, right? Because you can refer to somebody who is playing with their toys, he or her toys, right? Even if we say he or she, right? Then we can say he, or if we want to use she, right? But both he or she, we can say is running a race, right? Which means that our subject is either he or our subject is she, right? It is biting the rope, right? So it can maybe refer to maybe a dog or a cat or something, right? Or it is cold outside, right? We are we are watching a movie. So what are we doing? We are watching a movie, right? And maybe we can say they are having fun, right? So which means that the subject is they. So yeah, we have basically identified our subjects, right? So we've identified I as a subject, and as you can see, all of these are at the beginning of the sentence. So I am doing something. I am writing a letter. You is also a subject, right? And we can basically say you are playing with your toys, right? That is what the you, who is the subject, is doing. He, you can either say he is running a race or she's running a race, right? But he, she is basically the subject pronoun within that sentence. It is biting the rope, which means that it is our subject pronoun, right? And as you can also see, it is at the beginning of the sentence. Then we have we as our subject. And what are we doing? We are watching a movie, right? And then also we have they, which refer to more than one person. They are having fun. So the circled in red words are the subject pronouns. We call them subject pronouns right within a sentence, and it tells us who is doing something. And as you can see, it is usually at the end of the sentence. And there we made an example of each of the subject pronouns, which is I, which is you, he, she, it, we, and they. So those are our subject pronouns. And like we can see, it is at the beginning of our sentence. All right. Then we have, oopsie. Then we have an object pronoun, right? So we have subject pronouns, which tells us who is doing something, and it's usually at the beginning of a sentence. And now we have our object pronoun, right? And an object pronoun, it comes after an action verb. So our object pronoun, it comes after an action verb, right? It comes after the action verb. And the object pronouns are me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. So this is our object pronouns, right? And our object pronouns, like we say, it comes after the words which are me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. And if we look at a few examples of object pronouns, then we can say, so we say that it comes after an action noun, right? So it can maybe, if we look at one example, we can say, we should ask him, right? So our action verb is ask, and our object pronoun is him. And as you can see, I'm going to circle the action verb. I'm going to make a V for verb, right? So we should ask him. So ask is our verb and him is our object pronoun, right? If you think of another one, let's say trusted him, right? So Robert trusted him. There we have our verb, our action verb, make a V for action verb, and him is our pronoun, right? Our object pronoun. Or we can even say her as our pronoun. Or we can even say Robert trusted them as the pronoun, right? Let's choose one more. They would not let us come inside. They told us to stay outside, right? So there we have us, right? And that comes after our action verb, right? And us is our object pronoun. And we say the object pronoun, it comes after our action verb. And our object pronouns are me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. So that's our object pronouns. And like we say, we have subject pronouns and we have object pronouns. The subject pronoun, it usually comes at the beginning of the sentence and it tells us who is doing something. And then we have an object pronoun which comes after the action verb. All right. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca, right? So we are doing on aplusstudents.ca, and we are doing the chapter of personal pronouns. All right, so if we're going to go into our first sentence, our first lesson, which is to choose between subject and object pronouns. So choose between subject and object pronouns. So we said that a subject pronoun, it tells who is doing something, right? And it is usually at the beginning of the sentence. So it is the subject, the person or thing that the sentence is about, who is doing the action within the sentence. And it is usually at the beginning of the sentence. I said that the subject pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. So that is our subject pronoun. And if we look at an example, right, or another example, because we did a few examples. So if we give a few examples and we can say, I hug Rick, which means that our subject is I within this sentence. So I hug Rick. So who is doing something? I am doing something, right? And what is the person doing? The person is hugging Rick, or the person hug Rick, right? They help Emma. They help Emma. So doing something, they are doing something. So it's like asking ourselves, what are they doing? Then we can say they help Emma, right? So these are subject pronouns and it tells us who is doing something. And we said with subject pronouns, it is usually at the beginning of the sentence. And we made an example of I, we made an example of they. And earlier on we made an example of one of the subject pronouns. All right, then we have our object pronouns. Object pronouns, right? And our object pronoun, we said it comes after an action verb. And the object pronouns are me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. So these are our object pronouns, right? And the object pronouns, it comes after an action verb. And if we look at a few examples, right, of an object pronoun, Rick helps me. So me is the object pronoun, right? Which means that it comes after the action verb, which is hugs. So hugs is our action verb. And me is our object pronoun. So Rick hugs me. Hugs is our action verb, and me is object pronoun, which comes after our action verb. Emma helps them. Emma helps them, right? So if we identify our object pronoun, and then we can say them is our object pronoun. And with that, our object noun, it comes after an action verb. And our action verb is helps. So that is our action verb. Comes off. or let's say the object pronoun goes after or comes after the action verb. All right, so that is basically our subject pronoun, which we said it tells us who does something or who is doing something, and it's usually of a sentence. And then we have our object noun, pronoun, sorry, which comes after an action verb. And not forgetting that a subject noun, it tells us who is doing something. So now we're going to go a few activities. It says we need to complete the sentence with the best pronoun. No? So we need to complete the sentence with the best pronoun. Heard a loud noise. So it is basically a word missing at the beginning of the sentence. Is it a subject pronoun that is missing, or is it an object pronoun that is missing? What did we say is usually at the beginning of a sentence? Is it a subject pronoun or an object pronoun? So basically, a subject pronoun is missing because a subject pronoun, it's usually at the beginning of the sentence. So we now need to basically complete the sentence with the best pronoun. Do we say, I heard a loud noise? You heard a loud noise. He heard a loud noise. She heard a loud noise. It heard a loud noise. We heard a loud noise, or they heard a loud noise. So you can basically, especially when it comes to heard a loud noise, right? Any person can basically hear a loud noise. But in this case, we are going to say they heard a loud noise. So they is our subject pronoun, right? That tells us who is doing something. So we can say they heard a loud noise. And they is our subject pronoun. And our subject pronoun, it tells us is doing something. And as you can also see, it is at the beginning of the sentence, which means that it is a subject pronoun. All right. This is also at the beginning of the sentence. And if it's at the beginning of the sentence, then it is a subject pronoun. That a subject pronoun, it is usually at the beginning of a sentence. That a subject pronoun. And a subject pronoun, it tells us who is doing something. So we need to complete the sentence with the best pronoun. Is a teacher. We need to choose one of the subjects to complete the sentence. So we can basically then say when we complete our sentence, we can then either say he is a new teacher, or we can say she is a new teacher. So either he is a new teacher, or we can say she is a new teacher. But one of that can basically be our best pronoun. So either he is a new teacher, or we can say she is a new teacher. And that is a subject pronoun. And that usually comes at the beginning of the sentence, and it tells us who doing something. It's either he or she. All right. Janet did not see. Janet did not see. So our word missing is at the end of our sentence, right? If it's at the end of the sentence, is it a subject pronoun or is it an object pronoun? Janet did not see. If we identify our verb over there, then we can say it is see, right? Which means that whatever we are going to add, it is going to come after the action verb. And the word that comes after the action verb is an object pronoun. Comes after an action verb. So we can then say Janet did not see. We can either say Janet did not see him, or we can say Janet did not see her, right? So basically, one of that can be our base pronoun, right? And basically our object pronoun, because that comes after an action verb. So the object pronouns, it comes after the action verb. And an action verb over there is see. So Janet did not see him. All right. So that is basically our subject pronoun, which tells us who is doing something. Our object pronoun, which comes after an action verb. And a subject pronoun, which tells us who is doing something, it's usually at the beginning of the sentence. And the object pronoun, it just comes after an action verb within a sentence. All right, so now we're going to our test where we are going to choose between either a subject or an object pronoun. All right, so we basically need to complete the sentence with the base pronoun, right? Which means that if it's here at the beginning of at the end of the sentence, and then it means that we are going to have to choose an object pronoun, right? So, can you hear I, oopsie, or can you hear me? Which one is the correct pronoun? Can you hear I or can you hear me? We need to complete the sentence with the base pronoun. Can you hear I or can you hear me? And if we choose the base pronoun, right? Remember, you can't say, can you hear I? Because that is incorrect, right? We need to say, can you hear me? Yes, wonderful. Me is correct. So well done. Me is correct. Well done. Mother holds. Mother holds he or mother holds him. Which word is the correct word or the best pronoun? And this is also an object pronoun because it comes after an action verb. So mother holds he or mother holds him. So we need to choose the base pronoun to complete the sentence. Mother holds he or mother holds him. Which one is the best pronoun in order to complete that sentence? Mother holds he or mother holds him? Can we say mother holds he? Mother holds he or mother holds him? Remember, we are choosing an object pronoun, right? Which comes after an action verb. Which means that if we are going to choose our base pronoun, which is our object pronoun, then we're going to say mother holds him, right? Because remember, we can't say mother holds he, right? He refers to it's a subject, right? It's either he is doing something, but we can say mother holds him, right? So him is our correct pronoun. So him is our correct pronoun. All right, so we need to choose the base pronoun, and if it's at the beginning of the sentence, then we can say it is a subject pronoun, right? So a subject pronoun. They heard loud noises, or them heard a loud noise. Sorry, they heard a loud noise, or them heard a loud noise. So they heard a loud noise or them heard a loud noise. Who heard a loud noise? This is now a subject pronoun and it is usually at the beginning of a sentence and it tells us who is doing something. Is it they heard a loud noise or them heard a loud noise? And if we choose the correct or the base pronoun to complete the sentence, we can say, they heard a loud noise. It's either he, she, it, I, or they. Remember, them is an object pronoun, right? So they, it refers to someone or people that is doing something. So who heard a loud noise? Remember, we should say they heard a loud noise, right? So they heard a loud noise. Them will basically refers to the object pronoun, but either them, he, she, it, right? We, they, that's basically a subject pronoun. All right, so now we need to choose the base pronoun, specifically an object pronoun. And an object pronoun, it comes after the action verb. So the children thank her or the children thank she. The children thank her, or the children thank she. So we need to choose the best pronoun. The children thank her or the children thank she. We need to choose the object pronoun. Object pronoun. All right, so if we choose an object pronoun, right, then we can say that the children thank her, right? So the children thank her, and her is our object pronoun. All right, let's do one more and then you're going to do the rest on your own. Do we say us live in Texas or we live in Texas? Us live in Texas or we live in Texas? So what is our basically our pronoun? This is a subject pronoun that we're going to be choosing, right? Do we say us live in Texas or do we say we live in Texas? So if we choose the base pronoun, we can say we live in Texas because us is an object pronoun. So now we're going to choose the correct personal pronoun, right? And we see that a pronoun is a word that takes place of a noun or nouns. A pronoun is the word that takes the place of a noun or nouns, right? So instead of, for example, saying the person's name, we can either say she, we can say he, right? So now we don't have to say John, John, John all the time. We can maybe just say he, right? Or his or him, right? And here's an example. Use he or use him for one boy or one man, right? So we need to either use he or we use him for one boy or one man. So if we're making mention of one boy or one man, and then we can use the pronoun he or him. So now we don't have to say Jack. We can either say he, right? So for example, John is here, which means that they are saying that the pronoun, it takes the place of a noun, right? So the noun is John. So instead of just repeating John, John, John all the time, we can say he is here. John is here, he is here. Instead of saying John sees you, we can say he sees you see him. So instead of saying you see John, we can say you see him. So that is a pronoun which takes the place of a noun or nouns. It's a word that takes the place of a noun or nouns. So a few more examples of pronouns. We can use she or we can use the word her for one girl or one woman. For example, Kate is here. Right? We, for example, make mention of Kate. So instead of constantly using Kate's name, we can say she sees you. So basically, who sees you? It is Kate that sees you, but instead of saying Kate's name, we can just say she sees you. You see her, right? And her can maybe be where we are talking to different people and we say that we see her, which refers to Kate. We use it for one thing. One thing. There is a rabbit here, right? So instead of saying the rabbit sees you, we can say it sees you. So it refers to the rabbit. Or you see it, which means that I see the rabbit. You see the rabbit, right? And we use we and us for more than one person, and we use I or me for one person. Or we can say we use we and us for one person, right? Or for more than one person, sorry, for more than one person with I and me, or I or me. For example, of constantly saying John and I are here, we just say we see you, or we are here. John and I are here, right? So which means that we can say we are here. You see, right? Us can refer to John and I, right? So that is basically pronouns, right? And that is the personal pronouns where we say that the personal pronoun, it's a word that takes the place, or it is a word that takes the place of nouns, right? All right. Okay, so now let's go to our test on personal pronouns. The dogs are barking. Do we say he are so loud or they are so loud? The dogs refer to more than one dog. Do we say he are so loud or they are so loud? All right, so if we choose the correct personal pronoun, then we can say they are so loud. So the dogs are barking. They are so loud, right? All right. Dad and I went to the zoo. Do we say we took pictures of animals or she took pictures of animals? Dad and I. Do we refer to dad and I as we, or do we refer to dad and I as only she? All right, so dad and I, we can say we took pictures of the animals. So we being our correct pronoun that matches the word in bold. And then we have Pat and I did not see Anne. So Pat and I did not see Anne. She surprised, do we say she surprised us or she surprised them? So Pat and I did not see Anne. She surprised, do we say us or she surprised them? All right. So we can say she surprised us. All right, so basically we went over our lessons, which is the first one that says choose between subject and object pronouns. And we said a subject pronoun, it tells us who is doing something. And with an object pronoun, with a subject pronoun, right, it usually comes at the beginning of a sentence. And then we have an object pronoun, right, which comes after an action verb. And then we also chose the correct personal pronoun. And we see that the personal pronoun, it takes the place of a noun or nouns, right? So that is under the chapter of personal pronouns. All right, good one. So now we have reached the end of our lesson on personal pronouns. Thank you very much for joining our class, right? Till next time, you must have a good day further. Goodbye.